I'm back, everyone. All right. Let's get back to it. Moving on to part 2. February 18th, 12:52 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruto, I managed to find out what happened. Mr. Sato, I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? Sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Fleeing the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then, could it be? The other passenger that Mr. McGilded was talking about? My thoughts exactly. So, he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what is she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that troubles me. What's that? The 20 pence. Huh? Oh, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems like there were, in fact, 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed to the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand to testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Miss Susato. Yes. Well, Beppo was convinced, was dead set on saying that 20 pence was all he received that night. So. There's a young girl next to Mr. McGilded. Look. She must be the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Zees. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, the sort of typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? What in devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. It now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? Ahem, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded? I think perhaps I ought to explain here why it is that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. It is all tied up to the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in this case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up in a fair state. With a fair start. There was a fellow collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I can gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct? 'Tis exactly right, as the defense counsel said. This last with a fifth passenger, my lord. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me with a fair start. Hold it! A loud thud, you say, and a scream? Aye, that's right. How could I explain it? 'Twas the sound of someone falling to the ground, that sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor, having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me, I opened my eyes. There wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fella on the floor. You didn't see anyone, but at the same moment you did hear a scream. Ah, from the seats above on the roof deck, I presume. Not above me, my lord. 'Twas inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I set him up on the seat across from me. I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? Actually, let me correct this one. Yeah, you sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said, I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man lying on the floor, now would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so 'tis. I find that a little hard to believe. Let me look at something. What the fuck? That's blood, isn't it? Is something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, this blood stain is so obvious, that's all. And yet, Van Zeeks has made no mention of it. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? The seat has a handle, it seems. This is the storage compartment, but there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. Now, why would that be? You wake to find the man lying dead at your feet in the carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. And any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well, now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. And so I do try, where at possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle of trouble. Are you suggesting that you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no. I was always intended to report it, so I was. Only I had a mind to find out whys and wherefores first. the whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. There were the wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self just do the same? Yes, the scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I tried to find out there's a scream that I'd come from. And bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. Hold it! You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim light, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When her eyes met, well, me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. You're really overacting this. Still in all, I pulled her out from under there, and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chin wag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir. Well, I am sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position called all too often himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylights, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with a knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not in fact see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason. Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage, out of sight. It is certainly plausible the defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. I wonder how you must get the feeling, Mr. Naruto. Being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself as stunned as everyone else at his testimony, let's just say it's trying. We certainly had precious time to talk to Mr. McGilded before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must try to learn all the facts we can. When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day panning out like this. Mr. Naruto, no grumbling, even in your head. How did you know? I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court there was no one else in the carriage except for yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'twas a queer ting. The wee scream I heard as I woke up, it came from, well, you excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious! Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat in which I had been sitting, I found there a wee cubby hole there for storage. Mr. Naruto, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course, the whole bus was submitted as evidence. There would be a very good time to have a thorough look through around inside. Oh, I did. And that's when I found her. There was a child in there all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. This is the only one I didn't press. And when you first got into the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were, I see. Aye, and that's why I took the back seat as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means, this is how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite to the one which the poor gentleman was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I felt the most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is this girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here, a petty thief? Order, order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Oh! How dare you! What is the meaning of this? Ah, the girl, she's gone. Open your eyes. I'm over here. Good gracious, how... What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you say, slipped up and got caught in the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast... Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Let me guess, you don't count smoke guns among weapon for thugs. Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep four-wheel drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Do not wave that thing in my direction again. So... You admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question. Tis alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now. Alright, yeah. It was just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, you will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus the night in question. Alright, if I have to. So I snuck inside the carriage. They hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was right an old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I tell ya, I can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped me out of me skin, I did. And scream just came out. It's because of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think that demonstration is called for. This is where I sat that night, and the cubbyhole of which you speak of is underneath this seat, I presume. Yes, it does appear large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there, because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah! So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. even though you must have realized your actions would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt at my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness, what a perfect gentleman. My lord, this fine example of man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed myself for ever doubting you, sir. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning on the verdict of not guilty. Mr. Naruhodo, this... well, it must mean... It must mean what? That we're victorious? We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
At the sight of my iron heel, Wellington offends. Pray do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices, where evidence and reasoning should be paramount. Emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted on black and white here in the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilden's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What?! Order! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the defiancies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend... me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail as you would as any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear that up in a jiffy. Sorry. Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. How is this all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks? But he's not wrong. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? I can't lie about it. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as counsel for the defense, but as far as I remember at least, when I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Be whist? What are you saying now, you daft daw? I thought you were on my side here. What game are you playing? Your task is to defend this man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand, but it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know and as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. 'Tis not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interests here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing, and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. There's a cubbyhole under the seat. It's as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think that perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That money-lending freelancer and the pick purse are lying. Ah! I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The sinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick! Of course it's a trick! Quite so. I must concur here. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth. But every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Certainly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, as there is a matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. Alright. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like I always do. Hold it! So, you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its runs? Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spinning a joey and make... What's the point of spinning a joey to make a few bob, eh? It's a rum idea, isn't it? I suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fare and all. 4 paying passengers, a 5-pence piece, make 20, of which the cabman testified. And one little scapegoat riding for free. The red conch of a drive always goes for some grub before its last run, see? So that's when I slipped in the carriage to get myself under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment. Full of equipment for the coach, no. Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chucked all that out and crammed it in the corner somewhere. No one's ever seemed to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived on the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about it. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could get under the seat. That's all I could tell you. It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night.
Hold it!
A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on my own in the God Permit, and at least some of the time. I beg your pardon, did you say God Permit? Oh yes, well, that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. And that's when you came out of your hiding place and get away. That's it. Only that night. This cove was sat on me seat from the start, and he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift cushions you've been sat on you find a child now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then? I'll tell you, I can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch for sure. And after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did. And the scream just came out.
Hold it!
When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily? That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood up in order to stab the victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion in a quick butcher's while away, and I pushed up the cushion and at a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke what had fallen on the floor on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilden's account, of course. But then the fella suddenly turns out to be looking right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should never risk looking. It's because of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind.
Hold it!
And when Mr. McGilda discovered you, he pulled you out from his hiding place. From your hiding place. I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down in the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason. Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit and ended up falling on me. Ugh, how awful. Both me and my hands got covered in blood and made me feel sick as a dog. Both her hands covered in blood? That must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilden for a while, is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and what I was up to and that. Then I heard something from above, someone screamed. Yes, Mr. Faust on the roof deck, one would presume. Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish, and as this Irishman said to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they are all still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we could clinch the verdict we want. Yeah, I think you're right. I have this niggling of a feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see out the cabin at all? Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion upward and weave me head out and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time, passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink.
No. Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. 'Twas nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass, is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. Was terrifying, so 'twas. I see. Yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise, perhaps? Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Bejubbers! There's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp. What a pity. If only Mr. Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue. Yes. What should we make out of that last statement of hers? My lord, I believe that statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern Mind Council. Nevertheless, Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please. What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me. I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was nothing. Well, there's one thing that she didn't hear.
Objection!
Oh, that wasn't it. Oof. Damn. Not my first penalty, but all I could hear was snoring. I think it's the omnibus. Maybe. Well, let me press, just in case. So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry. Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could have pushed the cushion up and have Butcher see what was what. But then when I saw this swell getting on, I got me head down so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGill sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. What you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mog. So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out there so I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, never heard the door open. So I just had to step put and listen. I'm driving his pig's market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zieks realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complacent party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilden snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Mr. Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person.
Take that!
Thrice-fired Mason. Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order! Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was at the pub, didn't I? The next person on board on the omnibus was Mr. McGilden. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin in the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, and if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own, for sure. And from what we heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time did you hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, wasn't it? Waiting for this swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah! We know the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statements about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Yes, this pity thief's statement is clearly flawed. Lord Van Zieks. Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. He's dead, right? How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl is a pickpocket, let's not forget that. Ah! She didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she had some rather naughty ways, but I must say, I can't abide liars. And neither can I. Mr. Foreman, I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways, but I must say, I cannot abide liars. Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Ah! Ah! What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadan? This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruto, the way this is going, I know if we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilda's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seemed to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, that may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel! I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my education. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus that night on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. Vivi Men... Damn it, I hate this. Men. Oh yeah, Vivi Manolia, thank you for the follow, dude, I appreciate it. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words were to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wonder what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for us all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door, and the only other has windows. Fixed windows, which cannot possibly open. In short, there's no entrance to the cabin other than the door. But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense you will identify the location for the court. Here's the omnibus in which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin?
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It could have only been the skylight. I say, the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me at a loss for words. However,
Objection!
The skylight may be well large enough for someone to pass
Objection!
through. So you claim, but do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? Both Mr. McGilden and Mr. Strahd said the same in their testimonies. They claimed that they each heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but Would a man slip from a seat to the floor really make such a loud noise as the witnesses describe? A noise loud enough to cause Mrs. Shaw to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into
Objection!
it. You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight onto the into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might I humble a fella? Make a wee comment here. Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof that testified for said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that this is not so much the case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis the case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Wouldn't yous not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness, surely not those two chaps on the roof. You mean the ones that stuck the knife in the man were... Ah! Just what are you expecting and insinuating here, you blitherer? You rotter, he said, you rotter. What are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I have a good mind to give you in a blinker of a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay, you're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker, and me, a very angry hatter, suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right. I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel. Order, order, order. This is not the time, witnesses. I will permit this wanton invasion of the... I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zeeks. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You propose to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers having been made aware of the fact. You have branded these gentlemen liars, and you have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, this is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are you wasting your time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. What's happening, Mr. Naruto? The spectators in the public gallery they're in a complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord. You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony in reference to the incident brought by the defense. Indictment. Yes, my lord. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. We were the only two people on the roof deck. Dead or alive, I could swear to that. If anything happened when we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed? In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? I must say that on listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine how either witnesses could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck without the other noticing forthwith. That's right, you see. We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down to the two of you were in collusion with one another. What? Eh? According to the investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses shared no common dealings. Ha! Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favor, really. So why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. I'm just going straight to that last statement. If you're sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof?
Objection!
Damn it. Not yet, I guess. See, this is what happens when I play Ace Attorney games. I sometimes get ahead of myself. But I am going to press that statement. I probably should have done that first.
Hold it!
Proof. That's right. I demand to hear it. We came here to say what we saw, I tell you, not for this. But you call us both shinsters, brand us as criminals. You call us liars, that's what he means, and accuse us of doing it. As it stands at the moment, there's no hard evidence that incriminates yourself, now is there? I believe in much the same position as one another here. If I don't crack this case soon, he'll crack his teeth. I wonder if these two men really were involved in some way. I couldn't say. I mean, I don't really know anything about them, do I? Although, by the same token, I don't really know anything about Mr. McGilded either. So it's so hard to know who to believe here. I think we should try to remember that evidence alone is the only true to determine the outcome of this trial. Evidence. No one can argue against decisive evidence, including the members of the jury. So you're saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence? Yes, Mr. Naruto, precisely. I wonder... That's blood, isn't it? Is something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, the blood stain is so obvious, that's all. Zane wouldn't mention it. quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view from the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or a catch of anything in the description, so I suppose it can't be opened from the inside of the cabin at least. Let's definitely see inside of the carriage. So, you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before? Oh, Lummy, no. Not once, never. He never met the man before, he said, never. And you, Mr. First, you had no prior dealings with the victim either? That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest. No, I imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us had the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin.
Excuse me.
Mr. McGilded? Yes, counsel. What could I be doing for you? Did the witness's last statement give you a pause of thought somehow? Not the remotest connection. Is that right, I wonder? What are you insinuating now? Ah, Mr. Fairplay, 'tis been too long, has it not? Eh? If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe this fast approaching, is it not? Your payment date. I beg your pardon? You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir. At an unconsiderable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion. Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fellow to pass his crimes off to another. Arrgh! And young Mr. Fast. Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? And on top of... and that there top hat sliding above your head. That's one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand. I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door. The perfect fit, is it? Well, it is a very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell you. They're not like... they like a distinctive touch. Customers? Such as Thrice-Fired Mason. Up. There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence before, my lord. This you mean? I can't help but thinking that the poor fella's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh! That's one of my hats! Aye, that it is. So it would seem the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer, I'd wager, who could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh, no, sir. Absolutely not, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellas here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case. You little weasel. He's better at this than I am. Gosh, Mr. McGilded has certainly been been thorough in his research, hasn't he? Please, don't let me little interruption hold you up the proceedings. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't have possibly opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof?
Hold it!
Let's ask about the skylight. Are you quite certain about that? The skylight was shut the entire time? I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute. He's going to lose his rag with you in a minute, is what he said. Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see, it's fast shut now, just like it was at night. So it is, of course. A fellow of that size, the size Miss Mason, could likely break through it, still and all. What? Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand. Now you hold on there for a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we? Let's stop biting our cane, shall we? I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind loudly, and I shocked myself with it, as it happens. This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First. Oh, I just mean to seem well. The point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see. But, just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as rouge, I did. Are you expecting me to sentence you? No, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be open. I tried and tried, and when I was inside the cabin of shame...
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade? It opens. The skylight. That's what we were talking about, right? All of them skylights open. Dead easy. More easily than you can load that weapon. That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from the inside, you mug. Oh. Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck on one of them drags. And I had a great haul. I mean, I had purses coming out of my ears. Miss Lestrade, this is not the form of it... eulogize. Oh yeah, this is not the form to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities. Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't hop off the bus and leg it. So what I did was I used the skylight, opened the catch, and jumped right through. What? Yeah, the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why I can't open it. That's why you can't open them from the cabin. The skylight opens from the roof deck. Bailiff, climb up onto the roof of the omnibus at once and verify the witness's claims. So I say it looked like there was a lock. My hat! See? Order! 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 So it appears that this street girl's sentiment is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens, and from the roof deck... Mr. Naruto, this could be the clue we've been looking for. Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. So the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate it for myself. So the skylight was fastened shut before, but now the catch has been undone. We should be able to open it. You can clearly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to seen it quite clearly. That's not good for us. That's blood, isn't it? Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Miss Naruto. Why someone like me? Ah, what is it? Look, just here, look at this. That's without a question. It's blood. Why would there be a blood stain here? Surely, it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? There's blood stain visible on the frame of the skylight when it's open. If you're sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof?
Objection!
On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach, and immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom. What? That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence. No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible. Irrefutable proof here in this courtroom. Counsel, my lord, I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here, Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence which you allure? You will point out what it is that proves the victim fell from the roof deck to the skylight.
Got it!
By Jupiter! Is that blood? This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No! Order! 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 But the blood could have been sprayed there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin! Twitch Authority E0244, thanks for the follow. It only found its way out to that one particular spot in the skylight. Sure, and it would be very convenient. And let's keep it in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But there's no way to know for certain, is there? If a gent really fell through the skylight, I mean, why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? 'Tis all too plain, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows that the poor fellow dropped from the fair height right there, so it is. What? No! But it can't be! It's all lies!
Hold it!
My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof that the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can, yes sir. It's clear to me now where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they? I wouldn't tolerate any of the guilty carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it. Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. On three then, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Objection!
A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what do you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zeeks? A bloodstain on the frame in the skylight. Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What are you talking about? It's all there, it's there for all to see, and it's clearly blood.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus, and the officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can state with absolute surety, no such smear of blood existed in the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. But are you suggesting, Lord Van Zeeks, that this stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? And while this court has been in session... What?! What a palaver. I must say I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zeeks. But I am Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? When you wield fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Tut-tut, Lord Van Zeeks. This will not do, to be sure. Will it now, counsel? No. I think it's fair to say this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by the desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say? But if yous with all cast your minds back, it is not true if the omnibus there that had been in the courtroom the entire time. How could anyone possibly put a smear of blood on it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, counsel? It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time the court has been in session. My learned friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think... As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There's no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility. Oh, good gracious! Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, there is. It may seem my learned Noppanese friend has no intention of running from this deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, ye? Ye rotten feckless gouger. A feckless gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. 'Tis a plot to undermine me, so it is.
Objection!
Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, the number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies such as, to start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have a smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. Unfortunately, Lord Van Zeeks, no one is able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say, we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is a result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord, no doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things. What do you think? Sorry? About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus? I have an inkling. My lord. Yes, counsel? There is one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial. What? What a devil's name are you going to say now? If you dare betray me, you little maggot, you'd better start watching your back.
Objection!
Silence, McGilded. The court awaits the defense's clarification. This trial keeps swinging one way, then the other. I have no idea what the truth, what's the truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is the alleged mark that you claim to have appeared at some point during the trial?
Got it!
If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight on the floor in the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this blood stain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Good lord. Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel. Well said. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say it's a very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Ah! This trial is over. Mr. McGilded, I've done everything I possibly could to cooperate with the court, but 'tis all over now. But you're the defendant. 'Tis over, I tell ye. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, 'tis all a nonsense. Facts are what counts, and fact is the bloodstain is there now. Well, and over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Zeeks. Well, my lord? I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollections of the individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence, and in absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence. I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Zeeks, what is your position? The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. Very well. In that case, I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter. I shall proceed to my adjudication. As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first. What formality? As things stand in the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGillendale will be found not guilty. Yes, which would mean we've won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now with all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please. Yes, my lord. The defense believes... I am here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGilden. However, at this moment in time, I cannot, all in good consciousness, attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there's no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove that he's innocent. Good gracious me! Order! This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused's innocence into question? Are you sound of mind? It was a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was. A grand decision. What? I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Your job here is done, fella. And some fine work you done, so you have. What do you mean? Tis just as the right honorable gentleman has secondly said it before. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it now? Nothing more than a formality. I really don't know what to make of all this. Was the evidence seen genuine, or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. The stinking rich are always guilty of something. You mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us a lovely park. Now that proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court. But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if the witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zeeks, my lord, the case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord. But wait! When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zeeks ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair. The culpability of the defendant has not, at present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to prefer judgment. What? Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Do you mean to tell me that all this has been a grand waste of time? 'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. Magnus McGilded. Good grief, you've more to say, have ye? Just one thing, a warning. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. McGilded. I can't believe it. This is an outrage. They should have examined the evidence more. What are you talking about? The man's been cleared. He's innocent. With the courtroom in pandemonium for a second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict, and my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end. With the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us. February 18th, 5:14 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. That certainly was a long trial. Ah, yes, it was. Your first ever trial on foreign soil, and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Miss Susato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Well, we didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection. Aye, that you did. Mr. McGilded? Ah, and that girl's with him, too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh, what stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks they do be letting off when the verdict of not guilty. I'm sure you must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yes, definitely. I heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I've you to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man, then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. And 'tis water under the bridge. Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared. But nothing's resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? Aye. They've all seen that I didn't do that audacious and abstinent deed. 'Tis grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take matters in their hands and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll get the truth. I have absolute faith in them, so I have. After all, I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. It's not that funny. So then, As we all agreed aforehand. 1,000 guinea a year for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. Ah, you be whist. You're a humble you're a humble people, are ye? Ye from the east? Well, if you insist. But have this. Still and all, you deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. Into the courtroom? What is this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not an inconvenience, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. They're going to examine it again? Now? Naturally, I am under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now, but as an upstanding member of London society, I'd be doing my best to help wherever I can. There's a gentleman's duty, so it be. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you're having a well time while you're studying here in Great Britain. There he goes, a free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too. Don't move. Whereas I was gonna say, get a move. She really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down? You're a grown-up. Sorry. And I ate all grown-ups. Ah, there you are. Naughty, naughty, running off like that. Is this some kind of picnic? Who's this little girl now? And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ha! Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me. Excuse me, but who are you? Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. The inventor? Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, white, and more white. So if you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself. Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though, at all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment whilst I was changing into a different omnibus, and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. A what? I have no idea what this girl's talking about. Anyway, you're coming with me now, back to my laboratory. What for? To apologize, of course, silly, to my technician. What? You mean, say sorry? You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? I don't listen to no adults. Come along then, follow me. Fine, have it your way. Oh, good. You see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end. I'm fairly sure that's what she wants is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours. Well, I'll be leaving now then. Bye-bye. Oh, and sorry for all the fuss. She was a lively one. Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too? Yes, you're right, but where to? Oh, we haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All of our traveling cases are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning on spending today in search of lodgings. But at this late in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck. Don't worry though, I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of McGilded Park. I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through. I'm not so sure about that. I think a midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilded down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room or mansion. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there was more trying times ahead. Just as the Reaper of Bailey had warned, the case was far from over.
What's going on?
Get the fire brigade! Water! Bring water, quick! What the... How did this happen?
I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed.
No one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating. No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there.
Oh. Oh. This can't be.
End. Well, that's going to be it for Case 3. Well then, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and end off the stream. My air conditioning's been off because I didn't want stream to cut off because of the breaker blowing. So I'm hot as fuck and I'm sweating. But anywho, we're going to be jumping into Case 4 next time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. For those of you watching on Twitch, check out my YouTube. Those of you on YouTube, check out my Twitch. If you like what I do, be sure to follow me over on Twitch and subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring the bell to get notified of my uploads. It helps me out a lot. Join the Fox Army, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Till then, see you then. I ain't not doing both in this heat. Oh, that's what you meant.